this one here. Snoop Dogg used to own this car. This is Snoop Dogg's car. Everyone knows the famous rapper Snoop Dogg. This was actually used for the MTV Music Awards set in Germany. Now, quite frankly, I don't feel like looking at the German flag scenes as they kicked us out of the World Cup yesterday, but it's cool for me, it's cool. Now, if you look in here, Snoop Dogg's got his own signature inside the car. You take a look. Yeah, once the car was actually used from the MTV Music Awards, he said he wanted to let it go and he wanted to go to a nice safe home. So us at the London Motor Museum gave it another home. Another thing about Snoop Dogg, to tell you what is his car, Snoop Dogg has his own logo. It's called Snoop DeVille. The car is actually a Cadillac DeVille, but Snoop Dogg calls it the Snoop DeVille just to give it his essence to it. So we were well proud of this car. You look at it, it runs on full hydraulic system, just like everything here, and it's almost touching the floor. Look at it, it's almost touching the floor. There's no gap whatsoever. You can barely get your finger underneath the car. I can't actually get my finger underneath the car. This car runs that low. You can jig around with the suspensions, take a look at it. You just ride it up and down, whichever way you like. That's all you do. It's as easy as that. We don't see a lot of American cars. In London Motor Museum, you see all American cars. This is what we do here. If you don't get to see it in London and you can't go to USA, then you can come straight to the London Motor Museum and we'll house it all for you. This one's here where we house the formation between American classic cars to American muscle cars to American sports cars. Now if you look on, obviously, my right hand side, these are our, say, East Coast, say, riders. These are what they use in that generation of cars or what they use in that town of cars. Now if you look on the other side, you actually got American muscle cars with American sports cars. Now everyone actually thought the Corvette was a muscle car. Not really. The Corvette is actually a full-bred sports car that the Americans made, and the future tells itself with Corvette, because if you look at it, they actually make a car that goes round a corner. They couldn't do that with some of the American cars, and Corvette managed to pull it well out of the bag, and we're well proud of this car. The main difference is everyone looks at a Pontiac Firebird and they think, what is a Firebird? Is it a sports car or is it a muscle car? No one can choose. Now everyone has their own terms, but me myself, when I look at the car, I think it's actually a bit of both, because it's the closest thing you're going to get to a sports car, but it's actually the closest thing you're going to get to a muscle car. So if you want the best of both worlds and you know what to go for, Pontiac is the one. Another reason you should go to get a Pontiac now is, since as the company has completely died, this will be the best time to get a Pontiac, restore it, and you could end up with a lot of dough in your pocket by the end of the year. Very, very worth buying one of these. I've actually got many favorite cars here. I mean, the whole building houses so many cars, and I love cars myself, so this was a place for me to actually enter and feel this is what I like. So as in the sense, do I have a favorite car here? I've got many favorite cars. If you'd like me to pick 3 of my favorite cars, then I'd have to say it's either the Porsche 718 RSK. I have to go for the Shelby Mustang GT500. Everyone loves the GT500. And the SSC Ultima Aero TT. I'd love to own the fastest car in the world, and it's just a bit of a pleasure to actually own one in a museum and see one for real. I've been here for actually 2 years now, and it's actually been the best 2 years of my working career. I've actually come into a place where I feel at home. I've come into a place where I know what I like, I know what I enjoy. So yeah, it's been a very hard 2 years, but it's been a very, very enjoyable 2 years too. Everyone who comes here, we get a lot of people coming from all over the world, a lot of tourists. And the main thing the tourists want to see is the Batmobile. But when they come out of here, they come into the building in utter surprise that they don't know what they're actually going to see. And the moment they walk through the doors and they see all of these cars, they're in absolute shock. So they just really don't know what to expect. And when they come out of the door, they're all shouting about the Shelby GT500, which they expected never to see in this museum. So it's actually a great joy for them to actually see one, especially from people in the USA who actually live in USA and never seen one. They come all the way to London and then to see one there and then go back to home. That's what makes it so proud for us. Everyone knows what the favourite part of the job is. I mean, driving the cars is the ultimate pleasure you get out of the job. This is probably why everyone wants to work here. It's to get your hands on a Ferrari, to get your hands on a Lamborghini. It's the experience kids dream of, and then when you get to do it yourself, it's a completely different experience itself. I mean, it sometimes can get a bit dangerous, but it's absolutely brilliant to do. We actually hold events generally in the building, but not only that, we actually hold events outside of the museum. So right now, we've actually got a museum outside in a car park called a pop-up museum. This is going to be going on for 2 weeks, and London Motor Museum is housing 12 of 140 cars that we own in the building for the pop-up museum, for everyone else to see what it is and what London Motor Museum is about, except we go to the customer instead of the customer coming to us.
We've seen a whole load of amazing cars so far. Fortunately, there's a whole load more for us to see. We need to have a short break, but we'll be back soon with the last part of our trip to the London Motor Museum. You're watching part 4 of Museum on Garage TV. We're visiting the London Motor Museum, checking out their awesome vehicle collection, which includes classic and custom cars. Let's not waste any more time. Keep your seatbelts fastened.
The workshop actually customizes every single car that comes into the building, whether it be the cars just for the museum or it be just the cars that customers come in to get their cars tuned up and then out of the door ready for them to use. This is London Motor Museum and TKO's main workshop. This is where we do all of our customizationing work. Today it looks a bit quiet in our building, as for we've already got an event going on in central London with a pop-up museum, so most of our technicians are actually out there doing work on some of the cars. But this is again a prime example of a car that is getting made right now. You can see that the whole interior is getting made on the vehicle. The whole car's paintwork has been done here, all the engine work has been done here, so we do all of that in the building. Also, we've got a load of cars and a load of ramps and a load of workspace here for us to finish off our jobs. This is where we do all our work. We house a set of rims right at the back, where if you guys would want to take a look and I can show you some of the rims that we've got going on in the building. This is Cooperstown. These are all the rims, all the wheels that we have. There's a nice selection of rims that you could just buy from us. We do catalogue orders and everything for TKO. Anything the customer wants, we'll do, but this is a prime example of what we do and where we stock all our stuff. This is where we house everything. This is our ramp selection. This is where we do all of our trimming. And these all are selection